Mike, do you want an intro or shall I?
No, you intro. I've done a lot of intros.
All right.
Also, I'm gonna look gigantic sitting in this chair.
You could switch with Mike.
Yeah, but then we put him on the end. That's okay.
So I just kind of feel like
Like baby Mike.
I feel like I'm between two ferns, and it's like, but like also kind of Santa Claus-ish in this chair.
That's true. Yeah.
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 I feel a little Santa
Mr.
Claus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the elves.
The giant helper elves.
Yes.
You had it wrong all along.
There's some heavy lifting that needs to happen at the North Pole, and we need some bigger elves.
The Amazon elves.
Okay.
All right. Hi everybody. Welcome back to the channel. As you know, I am Mackie, and that is Sid. Not the other way around. You will recognize Mike, our coach. He has been in at least a couple of our videos at this point. This video, we wanted to kind of take you guys a little more behind the scenes and talk about sort of the planning parts of racing professionally. So it would be awesome if we just went out and rode our bikes all the time and that was it, and it was just all fun and games. But there's actually a lot of work and planning that goes into our schedules and our training, and poor Mike has to do a lot of coordinating of our schedules because we do a lot of different things. This is just going to be a little bit about, like, we're going to do sort of a season review and then talk about our planning or our plans for next year and what the training is going to look like, as well as possibly some interesting things that Mike has been working on. So with that, let's get into it.
We wanted to start with talking a little bit about this year and what you feel like would be things that went well and things that didn't go so well.
All
Yeah,
And see if that matches up with our ideas of what didn't go well.
Yeah, so things that went well, I think we did a good job of, for the most part, keeping both of you healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on the bikes for most of the season.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are racing through the woods. There's rocks and trees and stuff, and crashes happen. Crashes happen to both of you guys, and so obviously stuff happens to bike racers. It doesn't matter what their conditions are, and so there was times off, but there was also times where you couldn't ride the mountain bike, but you could ride a bike.
Yeah. Yeah. Like when I did my wrist, it was all just road bike.
So yeah, I think we did a good job with that, and we did a good job of balancing like the first experiment of cross country and enduro, and I think you guys picked a really good race for that because kind of the origin of enduro, I would say.
Yeah.
It's true.
Downeyville.
US, yeah. Yeah, so that was Downeyville. We had a video about it, so we will link to that if you guys want to watch.
So I think we did a really good job of balancing what you guys needed to be successful at Downeyville, and successful being like finished under the time cut and and you had some fun. It doesn't matter. Under the time cut, and you had some fun, and then you guys, like, I always loved you guys travel a lot and like got some great experiences, not just in the US but in Europe as well this year. So.
Okay, things that you felt like could have been improved on.
Room for
improvement, yes.
When I look at the schedule, I always struggle with, like, oh man, I want to do more. And I don't mean more volume or more days at the bike park or more of any one thing, but I want to do more to make you guys more prepared for each race. So more meaning find the best way to balance all the things that we incorporate. So bikes, rip rope, motos, resistance training, and your travel. I think what we can do better for next year is just between the three of us communicating, like, where are you going to be, how long are you going to be there, and what are the best things we can do for training in that. I think this year was a good practice, but I do think we can improve it.
Yeah.
And I think something that we did better this season, but that may not be apparent to an outsider, is like having less transition time.
Yeah.
Like I said, that might not be apparent, but like I feel like in past years it's been more of a like, oh, we'll go here because we really want to ride here for 2 days, and then we'll go here for 3 days, and then we'll go here for a day, and then I think now we're like, okay, we're gonna go to like Moab and find a campsite and stay there for 2.5 weeks, and that I think is something we want to keep working on because it does. I've already noticed that this year, like last year I was super burnt out, but like this year we're feeling better, so we're like, oh, we can do this race, this race. I think we're gonna have to dial that back a bit.
I think the other thing that really helped both of us, and I think this was more something we saw, was our new van, because we have a more livable space in the van, so that when it is gross out, we can actually like sit in the van and cook in there if we need to. Whereas before it was like, oh, we need to cook in the van, like let's just hold the stove on my lap, and then like we'll put the propane tank on Sid's lap, and we'll hope that nothing lights on
We never
fire.
actually did that.
No, but it was close.
It was
cooked
like
on
we'd
the
have to
coolers
take
between
both
the
motos
seats.
out and put them in the rain so that we could sit somewhere.
Yeah, it was terrible. So
Anyway.
the new van setup is way better for that, and then same for driving because we have air conditioning and cruise control, which we
Yes.
didn't have before. So
Cruise
I think
control
all
is
of that.
key
Oh,
for
cruise
hamstring
control is
health.
wonderful.
So next we wanted to talk a bit about our plans for next year and how we're going to kind of structure our training between now and then to optimize for those plans,
And then,
which will, I'm sure, change 100 times.
well, yeah, because I mean, otherwise Mike would be so bored at his job. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a video sort of talking very specifically about our schedule. We'll probably either do it live or as a premiere. This one we're just kind of gonna touch on it, but it's gonna be in the extended one. So if you're interested in sort of what our schedule is gonna look like next year, a sneak peek of it, go join us on Patreon and check out the extended version. But
I'm definitely signing up for that.
all right,
So that I can find out what your schedule is.
Mike's like, I wish I knew what their schedule was.
He's like, that's where it's been
That's
all
where it's
along.
hiding.
Yeah, we had to hide it. So it is early November, or is it mid? No, it's early
Early
November.
November.
It's
Yeah.
early November.
And we basically have not ridden our bikes for a month.
At least not
We
seriously.
both managed to get injured right after the season finished. But it was probably good to have that rest. anyway.
Forced rest.
Exactly.
So we need to be fit enough to race cross country for 7 days,
Fast enough to race
fast
enduro.
enough to race enduro, and have enough descending endurance to race like 15 plus laps at Angel Fire in June.
This is gonna be awesome. I'm kind of looking at this from like a very old school racing model of like what was life like racing in the early 90s. Guys like John Tomac and Mike Closure were doing cross country and then the next day doing downhill, and then some of them were going off and racing professional road races. And I can kind of look at that and start to use that as a model for how to scale your training. Some more volume on the bikes, just because you will end up doing
Yes.
more volume in your racing.
Let's talk about periodization, which is not periodicity.
The guy was like, Mackie, what's you call it
What's
when you
that
like,
word?
to, like train in periods? He's like, periodicity. I'm like, I don't think that's it.
Although it is a word, I looked it up.
Periodization
People that are
is the fluctuation of volume and intensity and rest through different training cycles. And there's the microcycle, which is as small as like one workout in a day. There's a second one that's like a week, a month, and then there's the macrocycle, or the annual, which is a year.
okay.
So
So basically, there's periodization happening on the year scale, the month scale, possibly even the week scale, and then like within a day or a single workout.
yes, and
Okay.
I mean, and that's a standard athlete one. But if you want to talk like more development, then it can be like a 4-year cycle. So as I mentioned earlier, there'll be a little more volume this year, time on the bike, and my job is to like balance it out so that we again avoid injuries and burnout. Probably at the start of the year, we'll try to to have some higher volume for a while, and then really another block of volume before any potential training race in Moab, and then kind of having a block of like, all right, let's get back into more of the enduro stuff and downhill for extended downhill.
Yeah.
The descending that you'll have to do in BC, making sure that we keep that more sprint fitness and muscular fitness for driving a bigger bike over bigger obstacles. Yeah.
So it'll be, the focus will be kind of balancing how to keep us fit and able to do intensity for longer periods of time with not losing the like short burst anaerobic sprint power.
Yeah.
So we decided that we will continue that conversation over lunch. This place looks pretty rad. Tacos, tacos, tacos. We're gonna talk about fundamentals of good training. We're gonna talk all about it. This looks delicious. What'd you get?
Burrito baby.
Goodbye, burrito baby. So giant.
All right, new location because you have to eat. So we're gonna talk about potentially new things to talk about.
So recently I went to certification called XPT Life, and incorporates breath work with resistance training and very non-traditional pool work, and then recovery modalities like ice baths and saunas and breathing as well into the recovery. And so the easiest piece for me to insert into schedules, not just for you guys, but for a lot of athletes, is the breathing, specifically the recovery breathing. The theory behind it is when you're training hard, you're in a very sympathetic mode with your nervous system. That's the fight or flight response. Yeah.
What about breathing between bites of burrito?
A little bit different. We do all the breathing like mostly through our nose, and so that helps with training.
So you can keep eating while you breathe. That's
exactly.
important.
Yeah. With the recovery breathing, doing it after each workout, we're trying to take you from that sympathetic response down to the parasympathetic response, that's when your body wants to start to recover and sleep and really relax.
So this is like post-workout.
Yes.
You sit down, lie down, or do you just keep walking around? Well,
Preferably, lie down on your back. If you can get your hips and knees at 90 degrees, so like feet up
Like
on your ottoman.
a thing.
okay,
Yeah.
got
Or-
it. Feet on something.
Feet on something.
Okay.
Even just like propping them on the wall. Eyes closed, so we're reducing the amount of stimulus you get, and then breathing in for a 4 count and out for an 8 count. It is fantastic. I use it not only to recover from workout, but go to sleep. I have fallen asleep on the living room floor. So has Amanda.
So it works.
So it works, yes.
So talk to us about the hot cold also.
A lot of research out there, and the weird thing about research is it can go either way. You can make it show whatever you want.
That's a good point.
But trying to look at the research of recovery and just general health by using both of these. So when you go into cold, you get all this blood shunted back into your core
Okay.
and out of your extremities. When we warm back up, that puts new, fresh oxygenated blood, nutrient-rich blood back out into your extremities.
So it's fresh blood, and that's the benefit of
Right.
it going away initially.
Right. And there's another part of the theory too that says like when it leaves, it takes all these byproducts from training and stress out of the muscles,
Okay.
brings it into the core where you can get rid of it,
Processed. Yeah.
and then back out with the fresh blood.
So it is more like you're going for like a systemic response versus like just sticking a sore part into a nice body.
Right. It's much more full body, systemic, all the pieces. You do get some of those anti-inflammatory responses that you get from just icing an injury, and so.
But that's sort of like a side benefit. It's not the
Exactly.
purpose.
Is it possible to do this wrong and cause harm?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If you are pregnant, have diabetes, high blood pressure stuff, like it's best to ease into this. Like you don't want to just jump into doing 3 minutes of 34 degree water and 15
that's the
minutes
other
of
question.
220 degrees.
So, yeah, 3 minutes in the cold and then 15 minutes in the hot. Is that what you just said? Mm-hmm. On this note, you guys will probably be seeing us doing some hot-cold training.
Probably won't be seeing us doing the breathing training either, because that's probably not that interesting to see.
It will be kind of boring to see, but we'll talk about it. So, thanks for tuning in. As we mentioned recently, we are trying to hit 310 patrons by the end of the year. So, if you aren't part of our Patreon team, we would love it if you would join us over there.
And you will get a sneak peek into some of the races that we talked about, but that we couldn't mention by name in this video.
Yeah, so come join us there, and we will see you guys next time. Don't forget to be more awesome and eat more burritos.
Or tacos.
Or tacos, but mostly burritos.
Yeah.
See, Mike's got it.
I got a
Being
burrito.
more awesome and eating a burrito.